Hey everyone, it's your girl Maddie here, aka Beaver Mosh, and I'm here today to talk to you about the brand new Iravu record, A Fate Worse Than Home. Iravu comes out of Malaysia, and this one was released off of Fiat Productions. And Iravu, with this debut full length, definitely succeeded in leaving an impact on me. Iravu plays an atmospheric take on black metal, but it's an atmospheric black metal that also leans heavily into these very spacious and psychedelic at times collection of soundscapes. I appreciate also this band's embrace of this sci-fi packaging that also is obviously felt in how this music comes across. And while maintaining their hazy, atmospheric touch, the band finds a way to make this thing sound also very large and grandiose. And they do that through these very rich melodic passages and these soaring leads throughout. It's definitely not a typical black metal record. The opening title track here opens with these very mysterious and engrossing ambient bits. The guitars seem to kind of sprout up and grow right in front of you when the riffs and the kind of war calling blast beats from the drums do hit you. You're met with something that is equally parts dissonant but also very melancholic. The vocals are particularly shadowy, like leans into these shrouded howls. The guitars rotate between these more expected tremolos and these very cool kind of mechanical chopping riffs. You're just throughout the track met with these swaths of hazy ambient that kind of drifts in and out strategically in on this track. And you also get this very evocative and kind of skyward solo here. It's impressive in both its sheer musicality, but also its restraint and its more lyrical approach and the emotions it's able to convey for you. The track, The Creature, starts off with this more cold, brooding introduction. You get these mid-paced minor key riffs that kind of crawl this one forward. It definitely sets a very ominous and creeping mood for you to anticipate what's coming next. I love some of the slide guitar here in the beginning stages as well, really sets in that feeling of anticipation. The vocals come in with this very caterwauling and frayed approach that I really enjoy here. There are some more kind of bass heavy and guttural passages as well, kind of calling their more death metal influences, and particularly seems like it is looking at and being informed by some of the more kind of contemporary disso death bands that are taking prominence as of today. You get these very, towards the end, these discordant kind of ringing strums that do come across completely nightmarish. The band on this record does a great job of coming in and out of different tonalities and feeling that really feels like there's a beginning, middle, and end to this record, and there's an adventure kind of happening. Reflection is this more ambient interlude, and these passages that the band incorporates, these more ambient, kind of quiet sections, are handled really well, and there's a lot of care that's obvious in its construction. They sound rather sparse, but the emotional pull and what's being communicated works and comes off very well. On this track in particular, these drums start to slowly creep in over this fog, and you get these very slow, methodical bass and cymbal hits that are kind of dramatic in a really controlled way. Fear and Lead starts off with these very electric, swirling leads. These hammer-ons burn with so much intensity. This is probably my favorite cut on the record. And you also, part of the reason is, you also get some of the most affecting tremolos and pure black metal riffage here. They're very stormy and have that great trebly tone, that sound, and is recorded really well here. I love underneath some of the more rolling snares and these thundering trugs that get incorporated kind of in the background. And you get some of these like swinging deliveries from the vocalist that kind of ride some of the riff patterns here, and I find how the band does this and kind of creates this chemistry between the varying tracks to be pretty intoxicating. Towards the latter half of this track, you also get this very disorienting passage with these flickering leads and these very bouncing drum grooves that come through with these very tasteful double bass shots. This whole track comes off very cinematic and sweeping and just full of grandeur. Home. You get these mystifying and hypnotic arpeggios that become steadily more disharmonious and ever so increasingly dark for you. And this leads you into these very blistering and racing, like thrashy riffs that come off with so much pure aggression and excellent sense of fury. You get another really searing and life affirming lead here. The solos on this album really, really rule. They're not just kind of dialed in and thrown in to have guitar solos in. They know where they're going. And towards the end, you also get these really interesting kind of fluttering, swarming, like it sounds like there is a swarm of insects coming at you. These riffs towards the second half, and it comes off with this intensity and this haziness that leads into this very kaleidoscopic outro that lends itself to these very mythical leads that find themselves competing with these dense, vast soundscapes It's a lot to digest at the end, but it sticks the landing very well. I'm very impressed by the scope that this band attempts, presents, and succeeds with. It seems to continuously and effortlessly draw you in and sort of cover you. The musicianship here is just razor sharp. Just pay attention to the lead guitar here. This thing is heavy. It's blistering, but also full of this sense of wonder and mystique. Also, the proceeds for this record are going to an organization that helps aid LGBTQIA plus and other marginalized communities in Malaysia. So this thing is bigger than just metal. So if you're able to, this is one I really recommend and suggest you consider supporting. I always leave the Bandcamp links in my video description, so consider checking that one out. And those are my thoughts for you. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love if you'd hit that like button. It really helps get the video out there. You'd be so kind. Consider subscribing. Another way it really helps the channel grow. I have a comment section. Please consider just tell me what you think or talking about metal in general. I really love reading and interacting with those. I have a Twitter you can follow. There's a link to that in the bio of this YouTube channel. What can I say? Keep it metal. My name is Maddie, aka Beaver Mosh. And here I am signing off.